Okay, we're live.
Hello, everybody, and happy Thursday. I'm Laura.
And I'm Liz.
Great. And today we want to talk briefly about something that is very dear to us right now because, I always try to look at the silver lining when things happen that might seem negative at the time being, but actually opens up our opportunity. And real estate is definitely one of those businesses, right? That as long that you see how things are changing and you keep moving and adapting with the times, you'll always be on top of the game. I've been in real estate for over 30 years, and I can definitely testify to the fact that, I've been on it more than half of my lifetime. And definitely I've seen a lot of changes happening. So now with remote working, we want to talk about the changes that happened here over the last year and a half. And with when COVID became, kind of an issue here for our world, is people, everything stalled, right? Stopped, and people were forced to go home and work from home and adapt to the environment. And real estate is the same thing. And I remember me and Liz sitting down and say, okay, now everything is shut down. How is it going to affect real estate? And we wanted to be out there to really help and inspire people that you can do actually, you can still continue with real estate and even thrive more because there's going to be less competition. The property owners are more willing to talk because the situation, and even now there are different situations with the evictions and moratoriums where there are a lot of landlords that are getting frustrated with real estate they want to sell. So there is always a silver lining that you have to look for. So with remote working is basically you work from anywhere. It doesn't have to be home. You can work from being on vacation, or you can work from traveling. It just means that you don't have to be there on location to work. But it doesn't also doesn't mean you have to work from to another state or another city. You can work across town. You just don't have to be there. And I think because it's become so much more acceptable for people not to meet face to face, property owners, they don't necessarily want to meet people or shake hands and so forth, especially if they don't know you, is much more acceptable to do remote working. The other thing is, so it kind of goes hand in hand with virtual investing, right? Virtual investing. And so I like Liz to share a little bit about, she has been virtual investing, wholesaling right now, and she's moving into fix and flips. But with virtual wholesaling, she's been doing a virtual from day one. So she has not really known any other way than virtual. So you want to explain a little bit how you approach virtual investing, and also kind of your mentality behind it that might be a little different that got you really comfortable with virtual investing.
Yeah, so it always helped that I have been very tech savvy, and I was already, when I started virtual investing, I was already doing internet marketing. So really what virtual investing, because I solely wholesale, so I can only speak from experience, is I basically duplicated the wholesale process that you would do in person, just in a different city, and I had a boots on the ground. That was the most crucial thing, is I had someone that I trusted that could be my boots on the ground if needed. Not every deal do I need a boots on the ground, because a lot of it can be done solely virtual with the right people in place. But I do have someone that I trust in each city of the 3 markets I do that can run and do contracts, meet with sellers, meet with buyers, and all of that. And then they get paid at closing. So that's the biggest thing. The other thing is you have to get out of the mentality that you have to be there for it to work. And that's probably the biggest issue I see with a lot of the students that we work with, is they are like, well, I need to be there. I need to physically see everything that's going on. You do not have to do that. And think about it, as you exponentially grow and you have 6+ deals going on a month, running to each house every time there's a buyer or something like that, that's not realistic. You might as well be an agent at that point. And I'm nothing against agents. I'm just saying you might as well be an agent, because that's what they do, is they spend all day showing in houses and all of that. So with that being said, I made everything completely virtual online. I hired a team. I have multiple VAs that do calling and texting and everything like that for me. And so that's my biggest thing is the boots on the ground. Now, as far as virtual, you do have to have some online tools that will help you run your business. And if you have a laptop, even down to a cell phone and some internet, you can run your business virtually. Everything I do is completely online. I've never seen a single property that I've wholesaled in the last 6 years. And that's just down to just online and really talking to your sellers. And sometimes your sellers or your boots on the ground will have to help you a little bit with pictures, or you can hire companies like We Go Look to run over there and take pictures for you. So it's just a different thing. And we actually do talk about this during our webinars and everything, because we heavily focus on virtual investing, just because with COVID and everything, that's the best bet. And the other benefit is because of COVID, sellers don't wonder why you don't want to go look at their house. So that helps too, having sellers that understand that you do not want to go into the home. And so that's been helpful as well. Laura, would you want to add anything else to that?
No, that and exactly there, because with social distancing, right? Social distancing, remote working, it really reshaped the way we want to do business, any business. And the other thing is, a lot of us, I'm sure a lot of you have realized that, you know what, this is pretty cool. I can work from home in my pajamas. I can do things around the house and go back to my desk. I don't have to commute to a different space. I can actually work remotely. One of the things I've noticed in the industry, I travel a lot, and hotels have adapted. A lot of the hotels, like the Sheraton, for example, they give what they call stay and work vacations. So if you stay there for a week or longer, they give you, like, you pay for 5 days and 2 nights free, or they give you really good rates, because they want to invite people to stay there, several weeks and work and play. Same thing with RVs. We travel via RV, and a lot of the RVs have, the new RVs are coming up with built-in workspaces. So you can have your computer. They have actually boosters for your internet, so you can have a connectivity. There is a lot of the RV companies are adapting to that as well. Like, for example, Airstream really came up with a really cool new trailer that has a built-in workspace office with a booster for your internet. Also, co-working communities, they took a dive last year because, people were not going even into work in a co-working space, but they adapted as well. So now they have virtual offices support more. They're coming up with new concepts of co-working to really get people back into the building, and it's working. Big company like Regus, for example, or WeWork, they're actually implementing some really ways that they have these centers where they implement like conference where you can do videos and Zooms, and they're really set up for having all these type of virtual meetings. So people can go there, and then you have your virtual office where you can work from home. And that's how we work too, because we are connected with Regus personally, and that's how we continue our business with them. And it's good to have, even for real estate, right? It's good to have an office like that. For example, we use Regus in different cities, because once you have satellite Regus has 3,500 locations. So, if we want to have a local presence, which we do, for example, in St. Louis, but we live in South Florida, we just hire a Regus virtual office for $69 in St. Louis. So all our mail go in and out from the office. We have a physical location that shows up as our return addresses on any marketing. We can get a local number with a local receptionist to answer our calls. So, it gives you a lot of benefits with virtual. So it's really about reframing how you think, right? Remote working is about, okay, how can I make this business more about my lifestyle? So, instead of, a lot of you want to get out of the 9 to 5 because you really want to build, says, I'm tired of this. My priorities have changed. I don't want to be in an office and commute and make somebody else rich. So think about this. So how can you do this? It's about remote working, and real estate is the perfect business for that. And I started actually remote working personally back in 95, 96, because I was in the Midwest, but I also lived in New York, near New York City. And I was commuting back and forth. I was staying 2, 3 weeks in the Midwest, 2, 3 weeks in New York. And I started doing virtually. And back then, if you think about it, the only thing I really had was a fax machine and a phone, because computers were really in the infancy. I didn't even use email. So nowadays, where you really just need a computer and a phone, that's all you need, and some apps or software to help you really, create your virtual office. I remember a couple of years ago, I was traveling to Australia, and I was on a cruise ship for 4 weeks. And I actually did some videos showing to people how you can remote work, even if you're in the middle of Pacific Ocean. And really, the only thing I was using was my laptop, the internet, and Google Voice to make my phone calls and keep connected. So that's all I needed to run a business for 4 weeks from the middle of the ocean. So I really think remote working is the best thing. It really adapts to your lifestyle. It gives you the freedom that you want. And real estate is the perfect business to do that, and also give you still the income that you need to support a great lifestyle, like traveling or, living the life that you need and you dream of. So Liz, you want to add anything to that?
No, honestly, that's exactly why I did virtual from the start, is I wanted to have freedom of time, and I knew I wasn't going to have that if I'm stuck in traffic or driving home or anything like that. So I wanted to be able to travel. I wanted to be able to take my son to Disney on the regular, because I live only 3 hours away. I wanted to do all of that. And so in order to do that, I had to bring my business from the start completely virtual. And also I worked a full-time job while also being a single mom. So with that being said, I needed to do the virtual aspect, and I needed to do it around the lifestyle I currently had, and with also the future lifestyle in my forefront of my mind. And I am happy I did it that way, because then when COVID hit, my business didn't go down. It actually went up. It went up in business because I had everything in place to continue to do virtual, and I didn't have to switch it overnight. And so, and honestly, with the way things have changed because of COVID, virtual is going to probably be the way real estate stays for a while, at least in my mind. And I'm going to continue with doing that. So that's what I recommend is just doing your business virtual, so you could free up your time to do what you really got into real estate for, which was real estate's only a tool just to bring you into your next level of life. And that's why I will continue to keep it virtual. I will continue to coach on virtual, because that's what we recommend and we love it virtual.
Right. So in order to help everybody, understand more of the mechanics of a remote working and virtual investing, we're actually hosting a live webinar, and Lisa is going to post a link here underneath or over the video, wherever it appears. But go to that and you register, and there we're going to share with you more the mechanics and the dynamics of remote working and virtual investing. And also, since it's live, you can ask questions and interact. And also at the end of the webinar, we're going to give you a presentation of all the webinars, so you actually have a hard copy of everything we talk about as well. But it's more about really communicating and interacting, and give you really good information that you can implement and see. So if you really wonder how does this work, please attend the webinar. Liz is going to post a link right now. So that's all I think we have to say about this. And I'm hoping that we opened up your eyes to the possibility and how real estate is a perfect business for remote working.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.